All right, so for my assessment strategy, I did reflective slash like a response journals, and I did it as more of a formative assessment. And so the history of the strategy and the theoretical perspective of the strategy just kind of go along because as time progressed, these response journals kind of like came about, and they transformed the meanings of them. So in 1977, Scanion and Cernomus, they came up with a three-step process when looking at reflective and response journals. And these steps were: step one was an awareness of an event that stimulates thought about a situation or event. Step two was critical analysis that brings to bear the knowledge and experience to analyze the event and then applying it to develop new knowledge. And then step three is learning of the development of the new perspective based on the critical analysis of step two. So this idea kind of came along and was around for a little bit, but then in 1983, Boyd and Falls really decided that we need to look at reflection and really decide what we define reflection as. And so their definition of reflection was an internally examining and exploring issues of concern triggered by an experience which creates and clarifies meaning in terms of self and which results in changed conceptual perspective. And so I really like this definition because it's when they say internally examining and exploring issues of concern, really reflective and response journals not only can tell the teacher a lot, but they also really do tell the students a lot because, if you tell a student to write down this math problem and explain how they solve it, but they don't know, they're internally examining, okay, I don't know how to do addition. So now I need to ask for help because I don't know what I'm doing. So not only does this help students, but it also really does help teachers as well. So then, just to continue, Borner in 2003 came up with a new strategy, or not a new strategy, but a new way to really look at response journals. And he came up with just some simple questions that, honestly, when we give students our response journals, we should really be looking at, okay, what were our learning objectives? How did we apply those learning objectives to the lesson? And then what did we learn about the learning objectives? And so I do think these questions are really important because this is all relating this whole lesson back to the objectives. And as teachers, I do think we need to be telling our students what our objectives are before our lesson so they know exactly what they're learning for the day. So then at the end, when they're doing their response journals, they know exactly, how it applied to the lesson. What were the learning objectives? What do you know? How can you apply them? What did you learn about the learning objectives? And then more about, self. The next couple of questions are about like the student themselves. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Where could they improve? Where did they improve? What are some other ways that you would want to learn the lesson? Maybe the lesson was more of a lecture. Maybe they would like to see more of a visual. What did you learn? Like, they already knew in addition you were adding supplies. So what did you learn? What else was there to addition that maybe you didn't know in the beginning? And then what could we do differently in the lesson? Just thinking of other ways to present a topic, other ways to talk about a topic. So when we're scoring this, I think as teachers, we really just are looking for understanding. But Borner also came up with a scoring, kind of like a chart. So we have a shallow area and we have a deep area. And there's 5 levels, and each level has, it explains how each one we should score it. But we have a level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so our level 5 would be like advanced, 3 and 4 proficient. That's where we want our students to be. And then a 1 and a 2 would be like, they need work. They're just getting there. They don't understand the material. So shallow is levels 1, 2, and 3, and then deep would be 4 and 5. And so just, a word to describe each level. Level 1, they're reporting. They're just telling us what's happening. Level 2, they're reporting, but they're also responding back to the question that we asked them. Level 3 would be they're relating. They're taking the lesson and they're relating it to maybe like a real world situation. Level 4, there comes reasoning with their relation to it. Why does it relate? And then level 5, reconstructing, totally taking it and maybe even saying, hey, this is a new way I would learn. This is a new strategy I would have. So that's just one way we would score it. For teachers, I think we're really looking to see if students are really hitting the main learning objectives. Are they understanding what we're trying to teach them in the lesson? So for classroom application, I think you could use this for I think you could use it for every single subject. Last year in my practicum class, the students would read a chapter and the teacher would have them write in their response journals, what happened or how do you feel Johnny felt after this chapter? What do you think is going to happen in the next chapter? For math, have students do a problem on their own. For science, have students think of a new experiment to do. There's so many different things that you could use this for in the classroom, and honestly, as teachers, we don't have to grade this. It's for us to look at and see, okay, I didn't teach them this that well. I need to go back and I need to reteach it. So we should always be, once students finish these, we should always be reading them. They can give us so much to what we need to continue to teach our students. And so this is just an example, and this one's kind of cool. This is a reflective response journal from my little sister. And so her teacher kind of made it cool. She got to put pictures on the front of just like things she liked, hobbies. It makes it quite fun. And then she has her name, class, and course down here. So you could make some for different courses. And then inside, there's all of her lessons that she does, she staples them inside the response journal. And then with each lesson, with each assignment, there's a response journal. And so this really helps students because, okay, here's the assignment. This is what I wrote. They're looking back. Maybe they forget how to do addition. So they go back to that assignment. Here it is. Here's what I wrote about it. Oh yeah, I remember. As teachers, they're looking at an assignment and you can tell what they're writing about. You can tell what work they're looking at. We're keeping all of our assignments together. We have them all here. So they can always go back and look. It's organized, and it's also just fun for them to have all of their work. Here's a picture that she drew, and then underneath, she has a little paragraph about what she did, what she learned. So this whole folder is filled with assignments throughout the year, and their response, their reflection, what they would do differently, what did you learn, different math problems. And so this is just a great way. It personalizes it for them. It keeps it all together for them. But then it also allows them to go back and look at what they learned. And then it allows the teacher to really see like, okay, I see that her math here was wrong. And that's why in her response journal, she doesn't really understand it there. So I do really think that reflective response journal can be a great way to formally have a formative assessment, that we're not really grading students, but we are checking for understanding throughout our lessons.